Hi, this is Danny Contreras, here with the Dr. Dan Show, again here at Frida's Treasures on A Street.
Frida's over there.
Yeah, Frida.
Or
No,
Lupe.
the owner, Lupe is here. And anyway, today's guest is a young guy named Julio Alcala. I met him maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little less, 4 months ago.
You met me a lot, you met me a while back.
Well,
Yeah. Channel Islands University.
You were involved with already
With Barrio Productions.
Barrio Productions.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of re-met him right after my party, my 65th party in January, and the idea came across about recording some of my music, because I'm a musician of sorts, quote unquote.
He's a really talented musician, by the way.
Singer, wow. Me. Anyway, Julio offered his services at his job. Where do you work?
Right now I work with the city of Oxnard.
Right.
One of the things that I do for the city of Oxnard is I run a video production and music production studio over at the Oxnard Housing at the Multi-Service Center here in Oxnard. And
They're in Colonia, right? By the
right
Housing
over there.
Authority and the fire station?
That's
right?
correct.
Kinda.
That's correct. And so what we do is we train youth to do videos. We give them different classes, and they learn how to do videos. Also, they do songs. A lot of positive rap songs have been produced over there.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
really good stuff. And so we wanted Danny to go over there
Me?
and give us a demo of the kind of songs he puts together. He writes these beautiful Latino folk kind of songs.
Yeah, folk. Yeah.
And so it took me years, but I finally got Danny to come over to our studios and record some wonderful tracks. He had this one song called Babyface.
Babyface.
Yeah, and
Ballad.
it was a beautiful song. Spoke about the struggle of the Chicano in the Barrio. Or I mean,
Yeah.
you could better explain it yourself.
Well, it's a corrido in English, because it's the story of the homeboy, and one homeboy, and the mother, and the reason it's called Babyface is that's what the mother cries out for the son to come back. Of course, he doesn't come back. He ends up getting killed. And the song is based on real life from my college days at Cal State Northridge. But I met this guy from East LA in 4th Street, and the story's based on his true story. You go back to UCLA,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What happened
Well,
to UCLA?
before UCLA, let's take it a step further. I started at Oxnard College.
Right.
Ventura College. I did all my classes that I had to do to transfer there. While I was there, I also got a big interest in video productions. Before
OC?
At OC, at Oxnard College Television. I had a big interest in theater and poetry, and in high school. My teachers, they really supported that I try to be more personal with my writing. So I started just getting really personal and writing. I guess speaking from the heart, and they dug that. They were like, wow, you're showing other perspectives of yourself, and I took that to heart. So then from there, I wanted to learn about video, these great things that you guys are recording right now, and Oxnard College was the avenue that I needed to do that. At age 19, I did my first short film, and that was pretty awesome. I shot that over at the Olivas Adobes with a group of friends. We were all excited. We were all inspired by different projects at that time. We were really inspired by Robert Rodriguez, El Mariachi. So we used the Olivas Adobe as a backdrop to a Western film that we filmed here in
Hold
Oxnard.
on 1 second. That was Robert Rodriguez,
Robert
the
Rodriguez.
well-known filmmaker, right?
Yeah. And
Who
in
made
fact-
films like, so people know,
Oh,
reference.
he made Sin City. He
Sin
made Planet Terror.
Mariachi too?
El Mariachi, that was his first
Known
film.
films.
Spy Kids, which is like a whole group of films that he did for kids.
Just a point of reference, but
And then also through Barrio Productions back then, when Luis Guareca and Bibi were running it, we were able to go and interview Robert Rodriguez and Selma Hayek
Wow.
for when they were working on From Dusk Till Dawn. So these are the little things that kind of inspired us, and so we did our first project, and we put it out to local fans, and they loved it. It became like an instant
what
cult
was the
classic.
personal, you got to meet this dude, big
Yeah.
time dude, and then you're just little me, but not you're a little
Well,
guy, but still, what was the feeling? What was the feeling?
It was like it felt like I was on the right track. It felt like, okay, you know what? You're meeting your idols. The other person that I got to meet when I was at UCLA that really blew my mind was Alfonso Arau.
Who was he?
He made Alfonso Arau made Water for Chocolate.
Oh,
And he was
Great film,
He
great
was El Guapo in Three Amigos. So
Oh my
Alfonso
God.
Arau is like, he's an amazing filmmaker. So it's just these little things that like, I've been blessed and had a chance to be a part of. And in that sense, I wanted to tell you, Danny, that that's why like I really, really, I mean, if I could focus on what I do, I'd have to say that it's trying to create positive media. And now the question about what is positive media? Well,
Yes.
kind of like what you're doing with your show. Your show, you're bringing in local folks that are doing a lot of positive things in the neighborhoods or in all of Ventura County. I've seen your show with Carmen Ramirez, with Mr. Javier Gomez, and these are great folks that you're putting out there.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, is it Arlene? Arlene's the producer for the show? Who's the producer of the show? Darlene.
Darling.
Darlene.
Miller. Darling Miller.
Yeah, I've been watching. I've been watching her energy. What's it called, to produce this show, and I had met her like beginning of this year, and it just seemed like a really good thing. For myself, I work with the city. For working with the city, I've been able to work with different departments, creating positive media, meaning going out to festivals, going out to different events where there's talent, and we try to document these things. We document
Right.
these things, and we're always trying to put things in a positive light.
In turn, do you think that gives hope and inspiration to the people that you're photographing? Or I mean,
My hope is
a
that
chance
we're
to
inspiring them.
inspiring.
Yeah,
There
the
it
same
is.
way that like when
Inspire.
when I go out and I meet inspiring people, the idea is just to put that same kind of energy out there, because
go, yeah.
we are the energy that we kind of put out there. So the more positive things that you do like this, the better we are.
without any obstacles, just,
Mm-hmm.
you have something to do, it's worthwhile, we're gonna film it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay us, or nothing.
Well,
Just
all
have
that,
fun.
I think eventually, it's one of those things that like it works itself out. You kind of have to like, you're gonna have to give before you get. I think sometimes. I mean, as far as like kind of like from my line of work, that's what I've noticed. Not only that, but if you just go after that dollar with media, you tend to bypass the point, which is kind of sometimes covering things that people want to get paid to put that out there, but you're like, nah, dude, this is so important to me that I'm gonna put in the work to edit this, to go and show up at 6 o'clock in the morning to record this, and then once it's on YouTube, it's like this thing is alive. Everybody can see it. What normally would have been me and maybe two other people, Lupe, who show up to Frida's Treasures to listen to this conversation, it would have normally been 4 people, but now that we have the camera here, we could put this on YouTube, and now these messages is going to be heard by everybody, all your friends, all my coworkers, everybody from the city that is looking for what's going on in the city, what's going on in Ventura
There you go.
County.
Excellent point.
What I heard there was this awesome car show last weekend. Did you record it? Yeah, I did. I recorded it for these other people. You could check it out on YouTube. Hey, I hear that there's some really killer rappers out in the Barrio. Well, yeah, actually, we have some demos of them if you want to check them out. We might have not produced them to the highest level of mastering. We might not be Dr. Dre, but at least we created a demo that like Dr. Dre will want to go, hey, dude, this sounds like this person
Got
has
some
talent.
Potential.
Yeah.
That's the key. And sometimes, I guess, I don't know, maybe some of the youngsters or even older adults that are trying to help, you're trying to help out, they get, what's the right word? Impatient? They want something-
Everybody does.
Yeah,
Everybody
that's
does, and
a
it's
problem.
kind of like it's the mentality that we get put into. But this is more of a. I think that's once again with the money thing. I think money's going to be coming in, one way or another. But I think it's more that the time that you put into it, the dedication, and the drive, and you got to just keep pushing for those kind of things. I mean, being people of color, we've never had a lot of like things, money, or even camera equipment. So like now that the cameras are so accessible, now that editing bays, you could buy them now. We could get the equipment we need to create what we want for a fraction of what it costed us 20 years ago. We could have never produced a show like this 20 years ago. I mean, to me, that's an exciting enough reason to want to go out there and look for positive things,
Question. Or
Yes,
a
sir.
Point. Point. You think unless you love what you do, it's going to be as good as you didn't love it? You have to love what you do?
You don't have to
Is that the
love it, but you will be a happier person if you love it, and that's really important. I mean, I meet a lot of artists. one example could be like there's artists that work off, pain. They work off,
Yeah.
all this and that, and that's cool. That's cool. But my big thing is like, well, I want to work off something that is like, good energy. So it's like everything I do it. I try to do it with my heart, with my heart's content in it.
Yes.
So that way I already know that, like, regardless of anything, like it was a good thing to do. I mean, and that would be my advice for most people. However, you got to use whatever energy you have. You know what I mean? Whatever drives you, then set it in motion. You know what I
Set it in
mean?
motion.
It's all good.
Let's give a little more background for you, Mr. Alcala, Julio Alcala.
Mr. Contreras, yes sir, Dr. Contreras, on the Dr. Contreras.
Doctor of experience, only experience. Anyway, going back to your youth, was there anything special? You grew up, born, raised Oxnard, kind of grew up, and then, what, high school time, things start developing?
Okay,
for you?
well, going back to when I first, my parents both came from Mexico.
Right.
Okay, my first language was Spanish. I learned English my first year in kindergarten. I remember
Wow.
that. I remember my teachers that taught me, English really
Right.
well. I was able to get into the, I don't know if you heard of GATE program, Gifted and
I've heard-
Talented.
yes, I have.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was, considered
Gifted.
gifted, I
As a
guess, yeah.
young student.
So I had a chance to start already develop that kind of idea that, like, hey, I could go places, kind of thing. However, we were like really, really. I mean, humbly I say, we were not well off. You know what I mean?
Right.
As when we were young. I'm a big fan of bicycling, but one of the reasons I'm a big fan of bicycling because our first vehicles were bicycles. I remember
To get
riding,
around,
yeah,
get around.
I remember riding around in the middle of, like, my dad would be holding me in his 10-speed, in the middle, and we'd be riding around like that. So, I mean, on the sidelines, I'm a big promoter of bicycling now.
Right.
For health reasons, also I think that bicycling is important for a community because, I mean, you could have kids bicycling, you could have grandpas bicycling. You could have everybody. I'm a big
Pretty much
supporter of that. Even in LA, they have these big gatherings called ciclavías. But anyways, so I forgot
Well,
what
let
I
me
was
tell
going
you, as you're, because I'm trying to, the development.
Oh, the development, yeah.
Emotionally and intellectually, in high school, you're still pretty much limited. Not so much limited intelligence, but just limit the scope of what you were trying to get involved in or the things that were affecting you.
Right. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Dan. Yeah, when I was, like I said, I started really humbly. I had like no bigger picture other than Oxnard when I was a youngster of what the world was like. And then I got to high school. In high school, I started, getting into, getting into wrestling because I wanted to get athletic because I wanted to, I guess start to develop an identity, I guess you could say.
Yeah, sports.
And then I remember later in high school I was all into like, I was like in love with my first love. I remember that. And that was really cool. I guess it was part of the whole thing that, like,
Love was my first love. You mean your first girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
of course.
Ding dong.
Of course. And then just the whole, I got into poetry, I got into theater, so I was exploring that. I guess I could say I was becoming an individual. But then to switch gears, I got into junior college. And then junior college was like a whole different reality.
Right.
And I'd like to say that to everybody, who's listening, as far as like, if you're just a high school student, like once you get to junior college and university, it's like a whole different world. You just become a whole different person
Let me
in a
make
sense.
a point. See if you agree. You can elaborate. But like for myself, in high school, I didn't do too well. I did okay, right? But a lot of people that didn't like high school, well, later on, I would tell people, if you didn't like high school, go to college.
Right,
Because
right.
It's a whole different world.
Big time.
You will learn.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
a different feeling, right?
Uh-huh.
And you learn more and all that good stuff. Kind of agree?
It's
disagree?
exactly what it's
Yeah.
like, and that's why it's really important that that everybody get a chance to go to either a local college or take some classes at a university. I'm just saying it's gonna be like an eye opener, and many other times we just need to have that moment where we kind of like see that there's other avenues for us to go, and that's what junior college did for me. Not only that, it was cheap enough for me to go.
Right.
I started learning about philosophy classes. I was mentioning to you that philosophy was a big eye opener for me. I started learning about different philosophies from different parts of the world. Buddhism really blew my mind. I was just
You were
like,
raised Catholic, but then
yes,
other things
yes.
came about.
And even Catholicism took a whole nother light when I went to UCLA and I started learning about like how indigenous people from Mexico started learning about Catholicism and how they kind of intermixed like indigenous beliefs, pre-Columbian beliefs in the mix of
Incorporated to
yeah,
Catholic.
yeah. And in fact, Mr. Gomez could speak for a
Yeah.
lot about that.
Javier Gomez.
For example, on the Guadalupe, how the Virgen de Guadalupe is also connected with the pre-Columbian deity, an Aztec deity, and that's one of the reasons that they're big into Guadalupe Day in Mexico.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But the idea, once again, Danny, was that I just expanded my whole perspective, and then I started going to like cultural conferences. I started joining different groups in college and started learning about Cesar Chavez. I started learning about the Native American history and just the interactions between different groups of people. In parts that kind of like it made me upset, just to hear that certain things were not like, part of our mind reference, a part of our intelligence. And another part though, it started to give me perspective of how things were. And I realized also that like even my chances, like the blessings that I've gotten, they've been because other people have put in work before me. Your generation, generations before you, everybody, everybody put in hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
And
True, true.
when we see these people that have good jobs and they're people of color, we have to kind of turn around and say, hey man, there's been a lot of work that's been put in before that.
Building blocks.
Yeah, that I've given you that chance. I noticed that sometimes, because of politics, we tend to separate ourselves now that they're like this or they're like that. But in the end, it's like, hey man, the whole nation as a whole has been brought to this level because a lot of people have made a lot of sacrifices. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And these are the kind of things, once again, that inspire me. I mean, when we look at Little Oxnard, well, what's the importance of Little Oxnard?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we have like one of the biggest working class populations. This population works for most of Ventura County as far as like putting in, if you look at the triangle, they're the ones at the bottom. Putting in a lot of work. And so that's why the reason I have a lot of love for this space, for Oxnard, for Ventura County, for the place that I grew up in, for yourself, for the cameraman that we were speaking earlier, for the host here who's allowing us to be at Frida's Treasure, Lupe.
And
And this guy right here, he's awesome. Come over here. This man, he's a substitute teacher. I just had to say hello.
He's my brother.
And he's been an actor also in some of my projects.
Right.
I really want to send a lot of love to all the local folks that have put in a lot of work to create video productions. Speaking to him, Tony D, he's kind of like a veteran in making projects. His projects could be very avant-garde, which is not for everybody.
Tony D's
but
a
it's
nut,
like,
but he's a good
but
nut.
but he's been putting in work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we both know that this is a lot of work.
And just for the record, you do know Calvin's my brother.
No way!
That's what I was trying to tell you.
No!
Yeah.
That's
what-
awesome.
yeah.
Okay. So now I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
So,
funny.
no. Like I said, thank you very much for having me and also for doing this show.
Oh yeah. Look, a couple more things.
Yeah.
What do you want to see the city of Oxnard move towards as a community? Any ideas?
Oh,
how we should move?
I'm not a shot caller, but once again, like speaking on from media perspective, I just gotta say we really have to highlight our talents and all our elements that make Oxnard a beautiful place. That's what we need to do. We don't have to worry about trying to what's the word, ourselves saying, oh no, we're this or we're that. No, we just gotta show them. I try to show that with my everyday presence. When I come around people, I'm always in a good mood, or at least I try to put that good energy out there.
I got you.
Regardless. I think that the city as a whole, they also, I'm a big supporter of their multicultural festival and their Earth Day festival. I would like for them to really push on those elements. Multicultural meaning that we gotta really show all the beautiful cultures that kind of come in through here and create wonderful either art or food or music or just essence. Yeah, that's regarding multicultural. As far as Earth Day, I really want to bring out the fact that we grow so much food. You know, the idea of growing more gardens, the idea of growing organic food. You know, riding our bicycles. You know, all these elements that make
I ride my bicycle.
good. Well, we need to all ride together. You know what I mean? We need to show that kind of unity. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Interesting. Let's wrap up on this. Other than Julio, you're a pretty amazing guy. I mean, you're still fairly young at 37.
Thank you.
got
Thank
a lot of
you.
years to go. My brother's 70, I'm 65, so we're a little bit ahead of you. But
Oh, of course, you guys are Jedis. You guys are
Jedi,
Jedi
yeah,
elders.
But I think what you're doing is really great as far as opening up what they call avenues and opportunities, actually, for you. And I'm thinking you're not limited to just Spanish surname people, or it would include anyone, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much?
once again, multiculture, and
Multiculture,
once
yeah.
again, the idea of world philosophies. It's like, I'm only Mexican because I'm in Oxnard right now, but if I was in any part of the world, that's what I'd be. You know what I mean? Like really, really. In fact, I don't like to just claim myself as one thing. As far as I would like to think of myself as an earthling.
Very good.
You know what I mean?
Earthly, yeah.
Because
The
I don't
human
even,
spirit,
unless if I could survive outside of the universe, then I'd probably be that. But right now, I'm an earthling.
Yes, yes. Well, what other points? Other than, let's see, Barrio Productions, that's your company.
Yeah, in
So to
fact,
speak.
well,
Speak about
that's the housing element that I work with. Little thing I would like to plug in about that is I think we might be in our last days, which is kind of bittersweet. It's bittersweet. You saw the space that we have. We could have used a lot more support. We ran out of grants. The city has done what they can, and I really don't know what the future holds for Barrio Productions as far as a center where we could come bring in youth to train to do video productions and sound. But I mean, I really still keep my hopes up that something good is going to come out of it, because something good always comes out of something, that's just been my fate, I guess.
Kind of like fight for your cause, if it's true and genuine, right? That's
And also leave it up to the universe, just try your best, and then also who knows who might hear this, you know what I mean? Maybe later on we'll get a word, maybe Robert Rodriguez will be like, yeah man, we really like what you guys are doing over there in Oxnard. Here's some change. It ain't much, but it'll keep you going.
Well, Oxnard's always had good people throughout. I mean, we've had a bad image with the gang problem, the drug dealing stuff throughout the last 80 years, 70 years of Oxnard and Colonia in the old days, and now it's all over. This is not just Colonia, of course. But there's always been spirited people out of here. I mean, the Herrera brothers.
Oh yeah,
they're
that whole family.
Geniuses, all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Fermin's a professor, and Andy or Andres is a master. Well, he's
Right.
an athlete and a musician, and
Yeah.
the whole family's talented and incredible. But there's a lot